Hey everyone, time for lesson 3.
Hi, I'm Dayna, and this is Dayna's Music Notes. So I'd like to dedicate this week's video to my husband, Jeff. He's just an amazing guy. He just had a birthday this week, so that's why I'd like to dedicate this video to him. We met when we were 15. His family moved right across the street from me, but only for a year. But our families became friends and did all kinds of things together. We went to church together. Our parents carpooled us to school together. And then they moved back up north a year later, but we kept in touch through letters. And then 5 years later, we were married. And now 36 years later, we have 3 grown kids and 12 grandchildren, believe it or not. Ooh. But he's just really amazing. He's very talented. He built this patio cover I'm sitting under, did the stone wall back here, which is beautiful, the fire table, and come with me and I'll show you some other things he's built. So now you can see the back deck a little bit better here that he built for us, the gorgeous beams and that stone wall that goes all the way up to the top there. You can also see the fire table a little bit better. And so years ago, after we had our pool put in, he built this pool house at the back. You just really, in Texas heat, you need a spot to get out of the sun, and it's got a big fan going back there, so it's perfect. He also built this play structure for the kids, and he built it sturdy enough that an adult could swing on it or climb to the top if they wanted to. And it's such a big structure that we have labeled it the Beast. And then you can see the shed next door that kind of shows his personality with our fun labels on things. And then that's just a bat house that no bats yet, but we are very hopeful one day. And now if y'all want to come on inside with me, I want to show you the furniture that he built for our bedroom. So every piece of furniture in our bedroom, except for those 2 chairs there, was built by Jeff, and I think it's just beautiful. He did a shiplap wall and stone wall up behind our bed there. He made a beautiful dresser for me. And then we also have our 2 end tables on either side of the bed. And then next he made himself this gorgeous wardrobe. And then to the left of that is a treasure box that we keep fun things in for the kids to surprise them when they come over. And this was just a neat little nook that he did a gorgeous built-in. It holds our TV and my books, knickknacks, and then you have a wood floor on the ceiling. So that's it. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention is he's very handsome and he has gorgeous green eyes. So it's all green for him. But enough about Jeff. Let's get to lesson 3. So if you're ready, let's go. So right now I want to talk about note values. So we're going to look at what the notes look like and how many counts they get. So the first note we're going to look at is a quarter note, and I'm sure you've all seen these. It's a black note that has a stem. Now a quarter note can have an up stem or a down stem. So that's a quarter note. But the thing to remember about a quarter note is it gets 1 count. And then next we have our half notes. Half notes look just like the quarter notes, except they are a white note. So these are your half notes. They get 2 counts. And then the last kind of note I want to talk about right now is a whole note. So it's just looks like a big egg, no stem at all. That's your whole note, and it's going to get 4 counts. Okay, so now I'm going to erase this really quick. Wrong side. And now, I don't know about y'all, but I loved fractions in school. I wasn't a big math person, but when we did fractions, I loved it. And so I tell my students that math is a lot like fractions, and let me show you why. So picture this as a big piece of pie. If you're going to eat the whole entire pie, then think of a whole note. There's your whole note. If you're only going to eat half of the pie, then we've got a half note here, half note here. If you want to just cut the pie into 4 pieces, that would be like putting a quarter note. So 2 quarter notes equal a half note. 4 quarter notes equal a whole note. 2 half notes equal a whole note. So there you go. And now we're going to look at these notes on a staff. Okay, so here we have our staff, and I'm just going to add some bar lines here. Trying to do them even. And I think I've mentioned in an earlier lesson that your bar lines divide your music into measures. So we have 4 measures here. So now I'm going to show you with the notes, and we'll just use, since I've told you this is a G, we're going to use the G. So again, think of that pie. Think of this measure like a pie. So this whole note is going to take up that whole measure all by itself. And if we're in 4/4 time, and I'll explain later about time signatures, but if we're in 4/4 time, you would count out this measure 1, 2, 3, 4 while you're holding that whole note. So, and then remember we said it takes 2 half notes to equal 1 whole note. Okay, so this note would count out 4. So if you're playing half notes, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it takes 2 half notes to fill up the whole measure. And then last of all, our quarter notes, it would take 4. So there we go, just a little bit of math. So 4 quarter notes would take up the whole measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm going to come down and use F in the bottom just to show you that you can do a mixture of the different notes. So if you have a half note, then you could also have 2 quarter notes. So there we go. Hope that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, now I want to introduce 2 more notes. So this first one is going to be an 8th note. So an 8th note looks just like a quarter note, except you add a little flag to it. And this is probably, when you see notes or draw them yourself, you'll usually draw them like this. Now, if you put 2 8th notes together, you might have also seen them like this. So 2 8th notes together equal 1 quarter note. And then I'm also going to show you our pie again. So if you take your pie, whoa, that's a very long pie, and divide it into 8 pieces, then you have your 8. Busy drawing my little note. So now we have our 8th notes. So that means 4 8th notes equal a half note. Or 2 8th notes, let's do this, 2 8th notes equal a quarter note. 8 8 notes, 8th notes equal your whole note. So there we go, just more of our fractions. And then the last thing I want to teach you is that any of your notes can have a dot added to them. Now, whenever you add a dot to a note, it adds half of what the note is worth. So a half note gets 2 counts. What's half of 1? What's half of 2? 1. So when you add a dot, that means this note now gets 3 counts. So this is called a dotted half note, and it gets 3 counts. Now this is a little more confusing, but if you dot a quarter note, then it now gets 1 1/2. And then that's where our 8th notes come into play. Because if you have 1 1/2, well, where's that other half count? Well, there it is in your 8th note. So, and again, we're going to do lots of review of this. And so if it's confusing now, down the road, it'll all make sense. So back to our staff. Now that I have introduced a new note to you, I wanted to show you how that would work on here. So our dotted half note gets 3 counts. So if you play that in a measure, you could combine it with a quarter note. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if we go down here, I've added a new time signature. So in our 3/4 time, that means that a dotted half note would take up the measure all by itself. And then also, so now that we're in 3/4 time, we can do 3 quarter notes. We could also do one half note and one quarter note. Okay, last of all on our staff, let's look at our eighth notes. So remember, they only get half of a count. So here we would count this as 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now I want to talk about time signatures. So this one is our 4/4 time signature, and it is the most common one, so it's also been known as the common time signature. Now the number that you want to look at when you're going to play a piece of music is this top number, because this is what tells you how many beats there are in each measure. This bottom number just tells you that the quarter note gets one count. Now a second most popular time signature is 3/4 time. So again, the quarter note gets one count, but you look at the 3 because now we have 3 beats per measure. And this is what all of your waltzes are written in, as 3/4 time. There's lots of other time signatures, but for now we're just going to focus on these two. Okay, ready for a quick review? Let's do our C scale. Our C chord. Then we move up and do our G scale. Now we're moving back down to D because D is going to have 2 sharps. And remember our tetrachords. We're going to go whole step, thumb under to a half step. And then 2 tetrachords are combined together with a whole step to make a full scale. So then next we have whole step, half step. So D scale has an F sharp and a C sharp. Same fingering that you've done with your other scales. And then this chord is going to have the F sharp in the middle because remember, your chord is your first, your third, and your 5th tone. So there's our D chord. And remember, you can play it blocked or broken. Now a quick review of our arpeggios. So we have our C. Remember, pedal up, and then our G, pedal back down. And now our new one, so work on your playing D chord with your left hand. D, F sharp, A. To point one thing out, there's a lot of different ways to play arpeggios. This is just a fun way to do warm-ups, but an arpeggio takes a chord and just draws it out broken, but it could even be, you know, like this, or your left hand, or you could even go back and forth. So there is a lot of different ways to play arpeggios. So our song today is Say Something, and it's a perfect song for today because you've learned your D scale. So that means this song is in the key of D. There's your 2 sharps. And you've also learned your dotted half note and your 3/4 time signature. So this song is going to get 3 beats per measure. And if you'll notice just what we talked about, there's your dotted half note taking up the whole measure. So you count, here, I'll play it for you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now notice that next measure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there we go. See this line right here? And it actually carries over into the next measure. That means to keep holding this chord. So this chord is actually held for 6 counts. So you go 1, 2, 3, keep holding 2, 3. Same with this next chord. You play it and hold 1, 2, 3, keep holding 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, so this song starts out pretty easy. Just, I would put finger 2 on the D and just play it and hold 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's your first chord, 2, 3. Keep holding, 2, 3. Play that same chord again, 2, 3. Keep holding, 2, 3. The next one, move down to where your pinky is on the D, and you're going to play F sharp. So remember I said usually bass clef is played with your left hand. In this circumstance, you're going to play that bass clef note, but with your right hand. 3, keep holding, 2, 3. The very last chord is a C sharp and a D together. And they don't really sound good together. It'll sound better when I add the left hand chord with it. And that's all you do. This whole song pretty much is those 4 chords. 2, 3, keep holding, 2, 3. 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 Now let's look at what the left hand does. So your first chord is going to be B. Now here's our middle C. So move down to the next C, put your pinky on that B, and you're going to do B and F sharp. Hold it for 6 counts. And then I know it's hard to see with my fingers in the way, but now move down from B, skip a note to G, and you're going to play G and D. And remember, just like when I taught you your C position, there's also G position, but make sure there's a finger on every key, and then your thumb will play the D. So G and D together. Love that one. It's nice and deep. There we go. And then your next one, you're going to move down. This one's a little harder, but move down. So you're on D, move down 1, 2, 3. And again, keep a finger on every key. You're going to be playing the A and the D together. And then your last chord here, where your thumb is, move your pinky up, and it's the A and the E. All right, so let's do those 4 together. Again, 2, 3, keep holding, 2, 3. 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 And then that just repeats over and over. Okay, so now we're going to put the hands together. Okay, now we're going to try putting those chords together. So again, you're going to start out with the D all by itself. Now we have our half note with our quarter note, 1, 2, 3, and then this is where your chords come in. 2, 3, keep holding, 2, 3. Right hand does the same thing. Left hand moves down to your D and your G. 2, 3, keep holding, 2, 3. F sharp and D on the top. D and A on the bottom. And then the last one. And then it just repeats. And then this is where the song actually comes in. Say something, I'm giving up on you. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing while I play this for you. I just wanted to show you where that came in. And so you can pretty much do almost this whole song just with those chords. Okay, so now I will play it for you. Okay, so you're going to hear me play a lot of extra notes, and that's just the melody. But you could easily play just those chords I taught you and sing through the whole thing. But that's what those extra notes are you're going to hear.
So that concludes lesson 3. Hope you enjoyed it. And I hope this week you'll be practicing your scales, your chords, your arpeggios. And this week you can even try a little bit of Say Something. So as always, feel free to comment in the comment section below on just maybe if there's a song that you would like to learn how to play, or if you want to hear me play a certain song, let me know. Or if you have any questions at all, feel free. And also stay tuned. I'm going to do a bonus video this Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And if you like this video, please click the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure and subscribe. And last but not least, if you want to get notifications, click the bell. Thanks, guys. I'll see y'all soon.